This is African American History is American History. Throughout American history, violent protests by white extremists like the events at the Capitol on January 6, 2021, have been little more than a futile, last-ditch attempt to cling to their supremacy. Before the Civil War, life in the antebellum South had been built on slavery. Much of the South's social order depended on the idea of white supremacy and black inferiority. Whites were considered fit for freedom and citizenship, while blacks were nothing more than chattel slave labor.
I have lived among Negroes all my life, and I am for this government with slavery under the Constitution as it is. I am for the government of my fathers with Negroes. I am for it without Negroes. Before I would see this government destroyed, I would send every Negro back to Africa, disintegrated and blotted out of space. Andrew Johnson, 17th President of the United States, February 26, 1863.
By 1865, still steeped in the violence of slavery, white Southerners could hardly imagine blacks being free, let alone be their equals. The many horrific events that took place during Reconstruction definitely slowed, but did not stop, America's long march toward equality. After the war, Southern cities grew rapidly as the newly freed slaves flocked to urban centers. Cities became centers of Republican control. Now, it's important to point out that this was back when the Republicans were the party of liberals and abolitionists, while the Democrats were the conservative white supremacist party. It seems the party of Lincoln is much different today than it was back in 1865, especially when it comes to race. The arrival of black residents and the establishment of biracial politics rubbed white conservatives the wrong way. In nearly every conflict, white conservatives initiated violence in reaction to the Republican rallies or conventions or elections in which black men voted. The death tolls of these conflicts were very high, and the victims were overwhelmingly black. African Americans had fought hard for the Union victory, earning constitutional protections in the form of 3 amendments, including the right to vote. The passage of the 13th Amendment freed 4 million slaves. Congress also passed the 14th Amendment, making the former slaves citizens, and the 15th Amendment granting the right to vote to all male citizens. In addition, Congress passed the Reconstruction Act, which divided the South into 5 military districts. These events were met with violent opposition from white Americans. On March 31, 1877, the Reconstruction era in the United States ended. In the South, a new racial and sadly legal system had been put in its place. A new dystopian era of black voter disenfranchisement and extreme racial segregation, which would continue throughout the South well into the late 1960s. This has been African American History is American History. African American History is American History. Copyright H.C. Kearsley, 2025.